At the center of today's gospel is the contrast, let's say, between what is true religion, which Jesus demonstrates to us, shows us, and teaches us how to live, and that which the Pharisees and the scribes practice and profess and teach, which is one of rules and regulations, and those who scrupulously keep to these outward observances, well, they are the ones who are most pleasing to God, and that is the way of holiness. All these outward rituals, of which obviously is not in accordance with true religion, which has to be one of from the heart. There's a prayer in the Mass which we will say in a short while after the offertory, before entering into the Eucharistic prayer. I say, "Lift up your hearts." And you respond, "We lift them up to the Lord. Let us give thanks to the Lord our God," etc. And so there is the essence of true religion. It has to come from the heart, whereby if there isn't that first principle movement from the heart, to do things from the heart, with the heart elevated with love to God, then the things that we do run the risk of just falling into mere ritualism, outward formalism and ceremony, and empty of the true content. It can become ritualistic for people just coming into the church, put my finger in the water font and do a bit of a sign like this, walk into the church, and then before the altar do it, I don't know what it is that they might do, just wave their hand over the body, and without consciously knowing what they are doing. And they might do these things, the genuflection, for example, and badly done, and a sign of the cross, just like a wave over their body, badly done. Not conscious that they have to do that because God is here in the tabernacle, and so we adore him, and so we give that due reverence with a sign of adoration to him. And sometimes they're in the church, there is no tabernacle, and still they do the same. So this kind of empty ritualism there. And there are people who honestly believe that the Mass is not rightly said if it's not said in a certain language, or if the priest is not facing in a certain way. External ritualisms were the real sense of how a priest should, this is just an example, how a priest, but also the people who are priests as well in the common priesthood, should be facing the Lord, is in the ambit of our interiority. Lift up your hearts. We lift them up to the Lord. It is in that sense how we have to live out our faith. And it is not only in the Mass where we worship God in that sense with our hearts uplifted. Our every act, human act outside the Mass should also be liturgy, that is, work for God. And everything that we do should be done with our hearts lifted up to the Lord, that is, done out of love for him. And then even in the unfolding of the exteriority of our actions, even if they don't turn out well, God doesn't look at the exteriority of our actions, but to our hearts, with the intention with which they have been done for love of him. I've just been heard of the example of a little girl who gave to her father a clump of dandelions. A clump of dandelion or wilted, and then, there you go, Daddy. And the daddy who looks at them, they're ugly, they're weeds, not even flowers, but receiving them, he receives them with love. And that's basically what we do with God, isn't it? With our best of acts and intentions. But if we do it with love, like the little girl to her father, even if the exteriority isn't of value really, what is really pleasing to God is the love with which we have done them by. So we can ask for that gift in this Mass, that in all the actions that we do them for the love of God, with our hearts lifted up to him in humility. Amen.